What do we have here? Nothing ever happens, bros. We're back on top, everyone. It's good news. This is why you always bet on nothing ever happens. So obviously, from what I understand, the Strait of Hormuz is being considered to be being closed, which is why Trump is saying, everyone keep oil prices down. I'm watching. If you're playing right into the hands of the enemy, don't do it. Okay, how exactly is he going to tell people to keep oil prices down? Is he gonna walk up to like ExxonMobil or like Shell or whatever and just be like, "Hey guys, listen, it would be really cool and epic of you if you were to keep those oil prices down." It's just like that's not how that works, man. Like, come on, bro. But this is all like a preamble to just say that apparently there's a ceasefire between the Israelis and the Iranians. I guess everything is stopped. But what do we have here? So from the big man himself. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now. When was this said? Is this EST? June 23rd. I'm gonna assume probably yes, because he's probably tweeting this from the Capitol building within the U.S. If I were to take a guess, right? So we can assume that that's the case. So in like an hour, the ceasefire I guess goes into place. Cool. When Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in progress final missions for 12 hours. Wait, I don't understand. Wait, approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in progress final Oh, okay. So for like people to get out or something, they still have missions happening or something. Whatever. For 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour. Wait, does that mean that it? Well, does that mean that gives like Israel an extra 6 hours to keep bombing, or another 12 hours to keep bombing? I don't know. We'll get to that, Boy Meets Minnie. Okay, whatever. So what? There's like an extra 12 hours that the Israelis have to bomb. It's a little weird. An official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful. On the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will, I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina. Stamina? Buddy, what do you mean? What do you mean by stamina? You're the one who gives Israel all their weapons, so they have way more stamina. Okay, dude. Sure, man. Courage and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. Okay, well, keep in mind, let's talk about why this war even began. Apparently, I don't even know if this is a war. Yeah, sure, fuck it, war. Yeah. Why did this even begin to start to begin with? Basically, Benjamin Netanyahu went to Trump and said, "Hey," Bibi Def gave him that name. It wouldn't surprise me. Benjamin Netanyahu basically went to Trump, said, "Hey, you know what'd be a great idea if you let us just bomb the shit out of Iran for a little bit, and so we can just, make it such that they can agree to like a ceasefire, and you can like maybe join in on the fun. Benjamin Netanyahu more than likely played towards Trump's sort of like proclivity to try to be some form of a deal maker. I've said this before, but I guess I'll just say it again. Benjamin Netanyahu played to that sort of like, I don't know, like fixation Trump currently has, saying like, okay, I want to be the deal maker. I want to be known as like such a good, epic, heckin' wholesome deal maker, the best deal maker on the planet. So good, very good. Even though like every deal that he's been constantly trying to make has just like completely fallen through. Like from what I heard, that the Houthis have now completely annulled whatever deal that they made with the U.S. and now they're starting to attack ships in the Red Sea again. The deal that he tried to make with Hamas completely fucking fell through. The 3 attempts that he had to talk with the Russians and the Ukrainians, none of them fucking worked. All the previous talks before with the Iranians all completely fell through because we know the tenets of those deals. It's just basically being like, okay, Iran, you can't enrich anything, but we're not going to relieve the sanctions, but you just can't enrich anything. And they get like nothing in return, so it's just like, yeah, man, totally. That's definitely gonna hold and totally going to work. Yeah, it's silly. It's the goofiest shit on the planet. This is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel. God bless Iran. God bless the Middle East. God bless the United States of America, and God bless the world. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Why didn't he fucking put that on the end? That's a little strange. So let's get some ideas of like what's going on. So the ceasefire, obviously, that's the ceasefire that's been announced. There was the Iranian response, which, from what I understand, has been basically very non-existent. Again, they warned the U.S. ahead of time, saying, these are the locations that we are going to retaliate on. Again, because, again, what is Iran's sort of modus operandi? They can't look weak in front of their proxies. They look like they have to look like they are willing to retaliate, willing to fight back against the U.S., but they really do not want the U.S. to be brought further into this conflict because they know that in a conventional war against the United States, they're not going to be able to last all that long, and they're going to get destroyed. And they don't want to deal with, like, the same shit that happened in Afghanistan. Them having to evacuate the fucking major population centers and having to, well, constantly fight in the fucking mountains for, I don't know, like 2 decades or some shit, similar to Afghanistan. Iran does not want that. They want absolutely nothing to do with that. So, what? They mentioned to the United States, like, these are the areas that they're going to strike. So I think they struck like 4 different air bases in the Middle East, in Qatar and Iraq. I think there was also some locations in Syria. I think they hit. I'm not sure though. Maybe not Syria. Definitely Iraq and Qatar. Maybe Bahrain, but I don't think they hit in Bahrain either. But those 2 locations for sure were hit. So what? Iran launched a strike against Al Udeid air base in Qatar, which stations thousands of U.S. troops in retaliation for the U.S. bombing of its nuclear sites over the weekend. No casualties were reported, and Trump on social media called the strike very weak. So they can, boister and say blah, 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 do all the things for the fucking media, blah, yada, 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 shit like that. Apparently, Israel hit Fordo again, so that's where one of the bigger, I think, nuclear sites for Iran currently is in Fordo. Israel launched further assaults throughout Iran, including on the notorious even prison in Tehran. Sure. Warning from Iran before the U.S. strikes. Iran had warned Trump that it might activate terrorist sleeper cells inside the United States if it were attacked. Dude, that's fucking funny that they're saying, like, we're gonna turn on the sleeper cells in the United States. We're gonna do it. Dude, that's totally like a play to give, like, red meat to the fucking media, right? Let's be honest here. That's like pure red meat fucking media shit to act as like a just like this is the Iran jingling the fucking keys response, saying like, we got sleeper cells in the United States. We got the cells. We're gonna do it. Very, very funny, dude. Inside the United States, were attacked, and a bunch of people have been killed, right? Israeli strikes have at least killed 400 people in Iran and injured 3,000 in the conflict, according to the Iranian Health Ministry. Iran was deliberate with its strike in response to avoid major escalation with the U.S. Now, just like I mentioned before, Iran's limited response appears designed to avoid triggering a massive escalation with the United States at a time when its air defenses have been heavily damaged and its allies in the region, including the Iranian-trained Hezbollah militants in Lebanon, have been severely weakened, experts and former officials say. Right, yeah, because we know currently the Israelis, they have like air superiority over Iran, so they've been like bombing the shit out of everything in Iran, basically. Air defenses, like air bases, assets, blah, 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 like a bunch of... We've seen like the videos of like all the Tomcats getting bombed, so Launching a larger scale attack could have prompted a major U.S. response, with Tehran facing a vastly superior military able to avoid potentially crippling damage in Iran's army and navy, political leadership, and oil facilities, experts said. They've got to be real careful, said Seth Jones, a former senior Pentagon official now at the Center for Strategic and International Studies think tank. They are extremely vulnerable right now. Yes, because, again, the proxies are mostly meant to act as like a shield, right? That's the point. Act as a basic like buffer, since most of the proxies, well, honestly, the biggest proxy was Assad in Syria. They are the biggest one, and they've fallen due to the HTS, which is the Turkish and Saudi Arabian backed group. So they have basically been the main ones to take over Syria now. So I'm trying to remember, like, it was Assad that was the main sort of, like, it wasn't like an Iranian proxy. It was like a sort of like regional partner for Iran. Now that they've fallen, this is a significant, advantage for not only the Israelis, but also for, the Saudi Arabians and the Turks, which is what, those are like the main beneficiaries of HTS winning, but, Israel by proxy also benefits from this as well. And as well as Gaza's still being bombed, right? We know that Hamas does receive some support from the Iranians. It's probably not like a ton of support, but they receive some. Like, it's not ridiculous to say that. But also we have the Houthis, where there was originally a ceasefire between them and the U.S., but like, that's not happening anymore. Because that's apparently been annulled, which is very, very funny. And there's also Hezbollah, which basically faces a significant amount of attacks from the Israelis. So they have also been degraded as a result. So a lot of these sort of shield that Iran used to, I don't want to say like rely on, used to have, has been essentially like, significantly fucking degraded. So they don't want to escalate further and, get dragged into a complete, mostly they don't want to get dragged into a complete quagmire. I think that's probably the more important thing that they're focused on. They're like, yeah, we don't want to deal with any of this man, fuck this shit, we don't want to deal with any of this. So that's why they probably have a much more limited response, because they don't want to deal with any of them. They're just like, nah, man, like, we're just gonna like try to save face and just move on with our lives. So, I give Iran the biggest nothing ever happens reward. Oh my, would you look at the time? It's nothing ever happens. Yeah, crazy, In announcing its missile salvo, Iran's National Security Council said the number of missiles matched the number of bombs that the U.S. used against Iran. Tehran's language appeared to signal Iran was responding in a proportional way and not escalating the conflict, experts say. So apparently there's a ceasefire deal, which apparently is not even true. It's like a complete fucking shit show. That's very cool. No one asked, Claraberry. Don't care. Didn't ask. Whoa, crazy. I only have one viewer on a YouTube stream. And I'm a tiny channel. Oh no. It's the end of the world. Get triggered? I don't know. Get bent? Cope? Seethe? Mauled? Supposed ceasefire that Trump announced tonight came after Iran's signal it no longer wanted to fight, and Trump called Netanyahu and bluntly told him no more war, a senior White House official said. The fate is to ceasefire where Iran would stop firing for 12 hours before Israel would do the same for another 12 hours. Okay, so I guess because the language that Trump used to announce this was a little weird. So Iran stops for 12 hours, but Israel also has to stop for an extra 12 on top of the 12 that... So Israel has to stop for 24 hours, and Iran has to stop for 12. Okay, sure. Was Trump's idea to appease Israeli concerns that Iran would not hold up its end of the deal, the official said. Iran's foreign minister has denied his country has agreed to a ceasefire. Yeah, they're just like, nah... Same shit here. Like, told CNN Iran has not received any ceasefire proposal and sees no reason for one. And again, ballistic missile alerts all over Israel right now. The Truth Social ceasefire lasted 31 minutes and 47 seconds. Very, very funny. So Because again, I was saying like, okay, he said this. Is there anything on paper? Like, are you just saying this just to say stuff? Like, what the like? What do you mean, dude? Like old man rambling or something? It's a little weird. Meh. Over the past 48 hours, the president had been working the phones, according to the senior White House official. I'm sure he has been. Very true. Another source familiar with the outreach told NBC News that Trump called the Emir of Qatar earlier today to say he could get Israel to agree to a ceasefire if the Emir could get Iran on board. Sure. Qatar's prime minister then coordinated with Vice President J.D. Vance, and the prime minister spoke with the Iranians, the source said. Very cool. At 3:53, Trump posted on Truth Social that calling Iran's retaliatory strike a weak response and suggesting that Iran could now proceed to peace. I guess as like a sort of idea that they did like their save face kind of a thing, despite the fact that they've been communicating with one another what they're going to do, right? With Trump saying like, all right, we're gonna bomb the 3 nuclear sites, okay? We're gonna do this, and then they bombed them, giving enough time for the Iranians to move a lot of the necessary material out, because like I've been saying before, the reason why the U.S. probably told them the time, the place, and as to sort of everything as to why the time and place, and probably not the exact assets, but when the attack was going to happen, was probably to give the Iranians enough time to move the material out of the facility, so then when the bombs were dropped on the facility itself, there isn't any radiological disasters, kicking up a bunch of nuclear dust, which could spread all over the Middle East, which would be bad. No, that would be bad, guys. That would be pretty bad. Like, for example, like when Chernobyl exploded, there was like, even in like Romania, because again, Chernobyl wasn't on purpose, it was an accident, which is why Article 5 wasn't called in the fucking Soviet Union. The Soviets were just like, dog, this was a meltdown, we fucked up pretty bad here, this is an accident. We did not want this to happen. A lot of nuclear dust was kicked up because of the explosions due to the meltdown, and it spread into NATO countries. Or not NATO, well, it wouldn't have been NATO countries at that point in time. It would have been Warsaw countries at that time. There was like higher reports of cancer in like Romania at the time, which was, great, fantastic. So, my assumption is, I don't know if Trump himself is looking to avoid like that sort of like potential consequence, or if it's someone in the administration. That's a whole different question, right? Proceed to peace enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same shortly after the post. Trump said no more war, no more fighting. As Trump was speaking with the Israelis from the Oval Office, his national security team was busy sending message through intermediaries to the Iranians. And then that's when he said no more war at 6:02, right? He thanked the Emir of Qatar, Vance, Rubio, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff signaled to the Iranians, both directly and indirectly, that the U.S. wanted a ceasefire and the Iranians should agree to it. Okay, cool, whatever. Iran's foreign minister denies ceasefire deal, but indicates military operations have ceased. So they're not... Okay, so they're not going to fight anymore, but there's no ceasefire deal. Maybe they're working out the ceasefire, and who the fuck knows, right? Like, again, breaking news, blah, 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 blah. Shit like that. Iran will decide later whether to approve the participating in the agreement. Because, again, there's, like, no real reason for the Iranians to really participate in any of this stuff, because it's just, like, why should they, right? Like, why? Yeah. As of now, there's no agreement on a ceasefire or cessation of military operations. However, provided that the Israeli regime stops its aggression against the Iranian people no later than 4 a.m. Tehran time, we have no intention to continue our response afterwards. So, because again, who caused the attacks? Who did the attacks first? Oh, it was the Israelis. So that's cool. Iran is a nation that surrenders. They've been hitting Tel Aviv. Something about Thomas Massie. Iran's UN mission declines to comment on Trump's announcement. Ceasefire Trump announced was brokered by him, Vance and Qatari leadership, and this is just going to keep going, right? Beach volleyball. Oh boy. Why the fuck? Well, okay. What the fuck is this, like, fucking Coomer bait? NBC News. What the fuck is this? Why is this here? Get the fuck out of here. Exclusive phone call called the ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Wonderful day in the war. Whatever. It's a great day for America. Great day for the Middle East. I'm very happy to have been able to get the job done. A lot of people were dying, and it was only going to get worse. It would have brought the whole Middle East down. I think the ceasefire is unlimited. It's going to go forever. I have a feeling that's not going to be the case. I mean, literally all the senior officials said, like, we didn't really agree to anything, so no. So I guess it's just going to be, like, more of the updates, yet to comment, and it's just, like, a complete shit show. Like, Trump basically is just like, there's a ceasefire now. And no one's, like, as far as we can tell, really agreed to anything at all. There has been some talks, but is there any agreement? So, okay, so it's just a bit of a shit show. But well, let's see. Breaking. Trump announces Iran and Israel have agreed to complete and total ceasefire.
With Iran in the Middle East, and some breaking news coming just now. Joining us this evening, Vice President J.D. Vance. Mr. Vice President, thanks for coming.
Absolutely, thank you.
Just seconds ago, the President went to Truth Social and typed this. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire. Complete and total ceasefire is what he typed.
Yep.
What does that mean? How did it come about? What's the development here?
Well, we were actually working on that just as I left the White House to come over here, so that's good news that the President was able to get that across the finish line. I think what it means, Brett, is quite simple. First of all, the President, without, knock on wood, having a single American casualty, obliterated the Iranian nuclear program. We are now...
Sure, man. Yeah, like, it's been totally obliterated. They just bombed some facilities, and they, like I said before, the U.S. warned the Iranians because of the fact that they didn't want to kick up a bunch of nuclear dust and have it spread over more parts of the Middle East. So more than likely, the Iranians moved out the necessary equipment for, you know, continued enrichment of uranium, as well as the enriched material, because again, they don't want any of that shit to you know, spread, and also they want to keep enriching the fucking uranium. Yeah, you know. So no? What? And also, like, the Iranian retaliation, they told you where and how and when they were going to retaliate, so you had time to evacuate the hit air bases. I mean, it's there was a meme about this that I found. It was really funny. Like, Jesus Christ. It's very good. What? U.S. Iran. Because it's just like, it's one of those situations where it's just like, dude, like, nothing really happened. Like, again, nothing ever happens, bro. The most nothing ever happens country did the most nothing ever happens retaliation. And same with, like, the U.S. also trying to go ahead with nothing ever fucking happens. Because they're just like, no. It was like, you know, I'm trying to remember, like, what how to describe the meme itself. But it's like, the two, like, not dismayed people, but it's like Russia and Ukraine doing like the like what the fuck face. Meanwhile, the Iranians and the US, they're like shaking hands and like communicating with one another, like saying like, yeah, like, we're doing a great job communicating what we're going to do to each other and stuff like that. Meanwhile, the Russians and the Ukrainians are just like sitting back there just going like, what the fuck. Very, very good. But yeah, man, totally. Like, you got, like, it without a single American casualty. Even, like, fucking, like, they told you what they were gonna do, man. Where they were gonna hit. And you want to, like, soy out over not a single American casualty? You had the chance to evacuate everything. You even give time for the Iranians to fucking evacuate everything when you bomb the nuclear facilities. Because, again, like I said before, you didn't want a bunch of nuclear dust to be kicked up in the air and spread across the Middle East, which would have been a disaster.
In a place where we weren't a week ago. A week ago, Iran was very close to having a nuclear weapon. Now, Iran is incapable of building a nuclear weapon with the equipment they have because we destroyed it. So that's a very, very big thing. Now, what that means, I think, is we have to talk to Iran and, of course, to Israel about what the future holds. Because while we have obliterated the Iranian nuclear program, our hope and our expectation is that they're not going to try to rebuild that program. And I think that's what the president is really trying to figure out here, is to build a long-term settlement here to where we can have peace in the region, where our regional allies and, of course, the American people, most importantly, can be secured, but where we can ensure that the destruction of the Iranian nuclear program that has already happened is...
I don't understand. Like, what do you mean the American people can be secured? What is like fucking like are the Iranians gonna build an ICBM in order to shoot it at the United States or some shit? Is that like what's being suggested here? Like, what do you mean? Yeah, again, like quite literally, these dumbasses, they just like did nothing to each other. Like nothing ever happens, bros. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. I like nothing has happened. Nothing has changed. I don't know. It's just like they've communicated constantly with one another what the hell they're going to do to each other because they don't want like I don't know any further like escalations more than likely. It's really silly. Yeah, you know, Pakistan does have nukes, but like again, I don't think Pakistan's going to nuke Iran. Like they don't have a reason to nuke Iran. Like, whatever. Like they're not going to do shit. Like if anything, if you want to talk about like threats of nuclear conflict, I bet like the people who are more likely going to gin up shit like that is either the Indians and the Pakistanis or the Russians, okay? Those guys are the more like schizo motherfuckers that you should be more concerned about, not the Iranians. Like they've communicated constantly like what retaliation efforts they're going to do all the time. Like what fucking like supposed mortal enemies do that shit constantly. Like think about it for 3 seconds. Like who communicates to their adversary saying like this is what we're gonna do, here's when we're gonna do it, and here's how we're gonna do it. Okay, you know, like that's cool. Well, we have to retaliate back because we need to save face on, you know, in front of our proxies, the media, blah blah blah, to the people. So here's what we're gonna do, here's how we're gonna do it, here's when we're gonna do it. Okay, cool, yeah, we get it. You know, they're having like a little tea party with ballistic missiles, for fuck's sake.
Is not something they try to rebuild.
I want to get to the obliterated part in just a minute, but I just want to read this fully so I get the context here. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions for 12 hours, at which point, the ceasefire for 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful on the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will. I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. This is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel, God bless Iran, God bless Iran, God bless the Middle East, God bless the United States of America, and God...
I mean, so much for the ceasefire, am I right, guys? The Iranians are still attacking Israel. Dude, come on, man.
bless the world. He seems confident that this is all coming together.
That's right.
And when you left the White House, were you thinking this was all gelling here?
When I left the White House, I thought that we might be able to get it across the finish line before this broadcast, and it looks like the president has been able to do that. I mean, look, he's been working the phones constantly. Frankly, before the 12-day war started, but certainly over the past 12 days, the president's been extremely clear about America's national objective here. It is to create a world where Iran cannot build a nuclear weapon. We, of course, destroyed the nuclear program that they had, and the president told the entire team...
Again, like I said before, the Iranians were able to move out the critical components and equipment needed to continue enrichment of uranium, as well as the 60% enriched material. So as far as we can tell, that's just not the case. They could still keep doing it. They just have to do it probably at some secret facility that's deep under a mountain or some shit. So, no? As far as, like, no, they haven't done that? Whatever.
We're going to work to make sure that they don't try to rebuild that nuclear capability in the future. And it's, look, this is a great thing. For Israel, think about this. They've accomplished an important military objective. They've helped us destroy the Iranian nuclear program. They've also destroyed the conventional missile capability of Iran that threatened the country of Israel. For the Iranians, I think this is a new opportunity to actually pursue the path of peace. As I said yesterday, what the Iranians have showed through their support of terror networks...
Again, like, here's the thing. Like, J.D. Vance is making all these claims, and, like, the Trump administration, and no one has posted, like, any fucking evidence for, like, any of this shit whatsoever. Like... evidence? I'm looking for evidence. I'm looking for it, and there's like nothing. Basically, it's just like, so like nothing ever happens, bros. Like, what's going on? It's very, very silly. Might want to get that checked out, Durandi. You know, that's not good. You might want to get that checked out for your insomnia, my dude. That's all I'm saying. Take care of yourself, for real.
Through their now failed effort to build a nuclear weapon, is that they're just not very good at war. And I think the president really hit the reset button and said, look, let's actually produce long-term peace.
What do you mean by they're not very good at war? Because they, like, communicated what they're going to do? Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, it's like, Israel has been given through multiple various deals and, I don't know, like charitable donations, let's say. Sure. A bunch of like superior sort of like US military equipment in order to be able to, well, do attacks. It's whatever. Like, sure. Yeah, if you got links to what we're talking about, which is this supposed ceasefire, Durandi, feel free to shoot them in the chat. Although, like, Automod's gonna, like, bat you. Let me see. Hold on. Can I permit you? I should be able to permit you. Permit user. That should help. Go forth. Post thine links. Unless the bot's gonna be stupid. But, yeah, you know. Whatever. What was I saying? Yeah, like, what is meant here by, like, they're not very good war fighters? Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, Israel has gotten a bunch of tech from the United States that is very much so superior in comparison to a lot of the sort of more, like, Cold War era, like, Soviet equipment that a lot of the, not only Soviet equipment, but even, like, American equipment that the Iranians have in comparison. So, like, in a technological respect, like, Israel sort of, like, takes that by, like, a huge amount, and they also have, like, quite a bit of it. Like, I'm trying to think, like, in what way is, like, Iran, like, bad warfighters? Like, is it doctrine? Like, they have a bunch of missiles that they send over, and, like, drones that they send over in attacks as, like, distractionary techniques and blah 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 and shit like that. Like, I'm trying to think, like what do we mean by this? It's like what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
For the region, that's always been his goal. I actually think when we look back, we will say the 12-day war was an important reset moment for the entire region.
Would you be surprised if Iran is sending out signals that it doesn't have a specific ceasefire plan? How would the communication have been with the Iranians to get this level of confidence to put out that detailed statement?
Well, one of the things I've learned, Brett, about the Iranians in the past, 4 or 5 months that I've been in this job is what they say publicly and privately can sometimes be very different. I think what the Iranians have shown very clearly is they don't want this war to go on for much longer. Their air defenses have been totally destroyed. Their conventional missile program has been largely destroyed. And of course, their nuclear program has been obliterated, as I said before. So I think the Iranians...
So, again, the claim that their nuclear program has been obliterated is extremely dubious at best. What JD Vance is saying is true. Their air defense capabilities and Air Force have been, well, I guess that also counts under air defense. Whatever. Fuck off. Pedantry. You know what I mean. Those have definitely been destroyed. Israel has gained air superiority over Iran. This is a fact. Okay? That's a fact. Not false. But... like, that makes me think, like, does that mean that the Iranians have, like, given up on trying to get, like, a nuke still? I mean, they can make a dirty bomb. They can, because they don't have the 90% required. Like, 60% is still 60%. You can make a dirty bomb with that, but, like, the necessary material to make the 90%, like, they save the equipment. Like, the thing is that it's very dubious at best. Like, they bombed the facility, but how do you know that, like, Iran doesn't have, like, backup facilities in order to be able to continue enriching uranium, like, deep in the Zagros Mountains or something, right? Like, good luck getting to there, even with, like, the giant bunker busters or some shit. Like, like, broadly speaking, doesn't make any sense. Like, I like, evidence. Where's the evidence? That's what I'm wondering. Like, okay, like, sure, like, let's operate under the assumption that this is all true. Like, where, like, how? Do you, like, can you present something, anything? They're not gonna present anything, is the point. They're just gonna say, like, yeah, we did it, folks. Reddit, we did it. We did a great job. Let me tell you, folks. We took out the Iranian nuclear program by bombing empty facilities that they probably have backup somewhere else or some shit. It's just like, okay, man, sure.
Are at a place where they don't want to keep on fighting. You saw the president, and I don't have the truth in front of me, but he talked about the next 6 hours finalizing the attacks. I mean, I think what he's talking about is right now, for the American people watching, it's dark over there. That's typically when the Israelis and the Iranians have been shooting at each other. I think there's some recognition that might continue for another few hours, and tomorrow really is a new day. The end of the 12-day war, the end of the Iranian nuclear program, and I really do believe the beginning of something very big for peace in the Middle East.
So you said totally obliterated. The president has said totally obliterated the Iran nuclear program.
Yeah.
Do you know for sure where all the highly enriched uranium is?
Well, Brett, I think that's
a pretty good follow-up question there by Brett Bear. You know, it's a good question. It's just like, okay, you say it's completely obliterated. We know that the Iranians have like what 900 pounds of the stuff, right? The 60% enriched uranium, 90 pounds of it, 900 pounds of the stuff. So like, okay, you make the claim. Evidence. You got anything?
It's actually not the question before us. The question before us is, can Iran enrich the uranium to a weapons-grade level, and can they convert that fuel to a nuclear weapon? And we know, based on the success of our mission, of course, the leadership of the president, but the incredible scale of our military, that the two mission objectives are completely successful. We know that they cannot build a nuclear weapon. Now, you asked about the...
All right, so he's just going to not answer the question. Just no answer. He's going to move the goalpost, say like, oh yeah, we actually did it. It's like, okay, then the next follow-up question is like, okay, based on the fact that we know that the U.S. warned the Iranians that they're going forward to the attack, it's like, okay, well, do you have evidence that the equipment necessary for, you know, the to create the more enriched uranium to weapons grade uranium, has that been destroyed? Like, where's the evidence for that? Do you know? Like, as far as we probably know, they've just bombed out, like, emptied out, like concrete buildings, as far as we can fucking tell, right? Like, man, there's like no evidence for any of this stuff, right?
Highly enriched uranium.
Yeah, like 900 pounds of it.
But what we know, Brett, is that uranium is something that exists in very large supply. Our goal was to bury the uranium, and I do think the uranium is buried, but our goal was to eliminate the enrichment and eliminate their ability to convert that enriched fuel into a nuclear weapon. I think that's an important point, Brett.
What? Uranium is like a thing that you can get from underground, and there's a lot of it. So that means we definitely destroyed the enriched uranium. Like that's still not answering the question. Like, he's not saying anything here. Like, what the fuck is this?
Because so many of the folks who have focused on the highly enriched uranium,
sure,
the main focus, Brett, has been to destroy their enrichment capacity, because we don't want that 60% uranium to become 90% uranium. That's the real concern, and that's what was so successful about our mission.
So
he's still not answering the question. It's like, okay, you destroyed the facilities. How do you know that they don't have any other facilities that you can't reach, right? That's the question. It's just like, okay, because you gave them the warning that you're going to do the attack. More than likely, they moved out the more important, sensitive equipment to, you know, make the enriched uranium, as well as the current enriched uranium that they have. They probably moved all that stuff, took care of it, put it in a secure location, and like, I'm still confused. I'm a little lost. Like, what is meant here exactly by like, yeah, we like totally obliterated their capabilities. Like, we totally got them, guys. It's like, have you destroyed that? Like, I'm calling that into a question a little bit.
After all this, if the Iranian government survives as is, what's to stop it from rebuilding over time if they in fact moved the 60% highly enriched uranium? You know, that's the concern.
No, the big concern, Brett, and this is again what we destroyed, is their ability to enrich uranium. If they have 60% enriched uranium, but they don't have the ability to enrich it to 90%, and further, they don't have the ability to convert that to a nuclear weapon, that is mission success. That is the obliteration of their nuclear program, which is why the president, I think, rightly is using that term. But here's the question. If Iran is desperate to build a nuclear weapon in the future, then they're going to have to deal with a very, very powerful American military again. Our hope is that the lesson that the Iranians have learned here is, look, we can fly a bunker buster bomb from Missouri to Iran completely undetected without landing once on the ground, and we can destroy whatever nuclear capacity you build up. I think that lesson is what's going to teach them not to rebuild their nuclear capacity.
Yesterday,
I don't think that's going to work, because again, like I said before, what if they just put it really deep underground into the Zagros Mountains? Are you going to, like, I don't know, try to erase the Zagros Mountains with enough fucking 30,000-pound bombs or some shit? Like, is that the plan? Like, how do we, like, again, he hasn't really answered any of the questions saying, like, yeah, we actually totally and absolutely wrecked the Iranians, like, sort of capabilities to enrich uranium. But, like I said before, do you have any evidence that you got rid of the necessary equipment to do that? And also, like, what about the fissile material, right? Like, because we know that they had to warn the Iranians because they don't want the fissile material to be kicked up into the air, become dust, and spread throughout the rest of the Middle East and other parts of, well, that area. Iran's not that far from Russia. Some of that nuclear dust could hit Russia, and that could be a really, really big problem, right? So it's just like, I'm still asking questions here. I'm just, you know, I'm jacking off. I'm just asking questions, guys. I'm a question asker, you know. And I'm just like, What's the like? What do we got here? What are we working with here? Like you're saying all this stuff, but I'm just like, we need a little something in order to have like, tangible proof that what you're saying is true.
Were you speaking on the president's behalf when you said he was not interested in regime change?
Well, Brett, what I've said is the American military, that is not our mission as regime change. Our mission was to destroy the nuclear facilities and the nuclear program of Iran, which we, of course, did. I think what the president's also said is that the Iranian people want to make a decision about regime change. That's between the Iranian people and the regime. Of course, we support freedom fighters all around the world, but our mission was to...
Isn't that's still like the one-for-one, like, dumbass excuse, like, even in Iraq, right? Like, in terms of, like, regime change, right? Like, saying, like, oh, we're just helping the freedom fighters of Iraq be able to... get rid of the yoke of Saddam Hussein. It's like that's not going to assuage anyone's like fears of potential regime change, because that's like it's the same thing that's been said before. Like people like listen. I rag constantly on the intelligence of the average American, but I don't think they're that stupid, right? They know.
to destroy the nuclear facilities, and that's what we did.
So you don't think there's any mixed message when he goes to Truth Social and says it's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? Miga.
Well, I think what the president is saying very clearly, Brett, is if the Iranian people want to do something about their own leadership, that's up to the Iranian people. But the American national security interest here is very simple. It's to destroy the...
How would they do that, right? Through, like, elections? As far as I could tell, there aren't elections or other political parties that exist within Iran. I heard a Bell the Fifth column of video about this. Essentially how Iran's sort of government works is it's basically three different governments in a trench coat. So there's the Iranian parliament, there's the actual religious theocracy itself under the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, right, the Ayatollah, and there's also the military. That's also its own separate governing entity, and it's like three different branches. Like, would the Iranian people have to put in people for each one of those branches? Like, have like a prime minister or like a president who sort of is like the main top commander or something similar? Like, I ask these what do you mean by any of this? It's a little weird.
Nuclear program, that's what we've done. And now that the 12-day war appears to be effectively over, we have an opportunity, I think, to restart a real peace process. And Brett, this is not just about two countries, Iran and Israel. All of these Gulf Arab states, they want peace, they want to invest, they want to build artificial intelligence hardware, they want to sort of come into the new economy.
AI.
And that was impossible when you had Iran that was, as the president said, acting like a bully across the Middle East. We really think that if the Iranians are smart about the path forward, this could be a new dawn of an economic age of prosperity, of course, for our Gulf Arab allies, for us, for the Israelis, for everybody, but it's going to require the Iranians play it smart from here.
The president called it very weak, the Iran missile firing on the U.S. base in Qatar, El Udeid. Was it a face-saving move? How do you get from that, firing missiles at a U.S. base, to a ceasefire, as he details in this Truth Social?
Well, as the president said, they actually gave us some warning here, and we think they gave us some warning because they didn't want to kill Americans, and they...
Well, good to see that J.D. Vance confirms the... Well, not suspicion... we already knew about this, right? Like, because there's precedent for this. Like, the first attack, right, that the Iranians did with their Shahed drones and a bunch of other stuff that basically all got completely intercepted because of the bombing of the IRGC commanders that the Israelis did, which was a huge provocation by Israel. Obviously, the Iranians retaliated. They let the U.S. know, saying, like, this is what we're going to do, this is who we're going to hit, and this is how we're going to do it. And the U.S. knew. It's like, okay. And this is under Biden, and he coordinated the defense to, well, defend all those locations. There's like minimal damage and like no casualties, like minimal casualties basically. So it's just like, okay, like I'm still trying to understand. I'm still like wondering here exactly like should anyone be surprised about this? There's precedent for this. They've done this before. It's a little weird. Yeah, it's a little strange, you know?
Didn't want to escalate. There's definitely some symbolism to this, Brett. If you look at the Iranian attack, it was 14 missiles that they telegraphed ahead of time. We dropped 14 bunker buster bombs. As the president told me earlier, our bombs were a little bit bigger than their bombs. Our bombs actually accomplished the goal of eliminating their nuclear program. But look,
personally, I think Iran should have gone with 28 missiles. Maybe have like a similar weight. So what? 30,000 times 14. That's 420,000. Maybe Iran should have done something similar in terms of weight. Instead, maybe that's proportional, right? 300,000, 420,000 pounds of bombs being used to hit Iran. How about 420,000 pounds of, I don't know, like missiles or some shit from Iran? Nah, you know. I'm being a little silly. I'm being a little hyperbolic right now.
Again, to restart the peace process as the president just did today.
Was the message delivered directly to the U.S. or through an emissary?
The message is always delivered through some sort of intermediary. That's been consistently true of the Iranians.
Yeah,
of course, we'd love to talk to them. The president's been clear about this. We'd love to have a direct conversation about how we move this thing forward because, again, we got to step back here. Why did the president do what he did over the past week? It's so that we could destroy their nuclear program. If they try to rebuild it, they're going to be on the wrong end of American power once again. We don't want that. I think they don't want that, but the ball's in their hands.
You've been reluctant or at least cautious about getting...
I mean, we've talked about this before, but 6 rounds of talks and nothing led to anything, and then like Benjamin Netanyahu gets in the ear of gets in the ear temporarily, like not temporarily, but gets in the ear of Trump, says like, oh, if you just let us bomb them, your deal making skills, we're gonna be able to make a deal, bring them to the table, force them to the table, even though they've already been at the table, like trying to talk. And again, we know like what the deal was supposed to be. It's just like, oh, we're gonna give you absolutely nothing, but you have to stop enriching uranium. And the Iranians are just like, why should we comply with that deal? We get nothing out of this. That's not a deal. That's an ultimatum. It's not a deal. And it's just like, well, that's the deal. And it's just like, okay, so we're just gonna keep enriching uranium. I'm pointing out just how, like, kind of ridiculous this has all been, and, like, this is why. Because, again, Trump he has no fucking idea what he's doing, man. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Engaged previously, and that has been public. What made you sign on to this action this time?
Well, I think the president has been very clear, and I've always agreed with the president that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. And you try to run the diplomatic process as much as you possibly can. When the president decided that wasn't going to work, he took the action that he had to take. Now we're in a new phase. That action was successful. We had a wildly successful military operation to take out their nuclear program. Now let's go on to the next phase. And I think the president, look, sometimes he's willing to use peace. Sometimes he's willing to use the military. I think it really depends on what the Iranians do from here.
And what do you think they do from here?
Well, it's an open question, Brett. I don't want to predict what the other side will do, but I think that I know what we'll do if they continue to pursue a nuclear weapon, and I hope they don't choose that path because I know the president wants to see the Middle East become peaceful and prosperous in the future. That's not going to happen if Iran pursues a nuclear weapon again.
And for the people, so we talked about the people who believe that this is going...
Like, there's just nothing in place to stop them from doing that. This is just like, I don't know, it's cope. I think J.D. Vance, boy meets Minnie, I think he knows that's not Trump's goal. He's just doing it's the whole fucking spin thing, right? Like, it's complete fucking nonsense. But it's to feed red meat to the base, right? Like, that's it. Trump's okay with the war. He doesn't give a fuck about the war. He's the one who green-lighted the Israelis to go in to begin with. It's just like, it's a complete distraction, either from, like, I don't know, the one big beautiful bill, which is a complete shit show disaster. I don't know, this is like his 3rd attempt to try to distract from that shit. Great, fantastic, excellent. And there's also, like, what else? Like, it's like, I don't know, nothing ever happens, bros, or something. Like, there's just no there, right? Like, this isn't, like, Trump's goal. I don't think Trump has a goal. I think his goal is probably just to, like, I don't know, cause as much, like, chaos and just do as much random shit as possible to just mostly distract probably from the big, beautiful bill if we're talking about, like, what Trump's actual goal is. Like, is it regime change with Iran? We don't even know. He'll say it, like, 1 second and then, like, backpedal on it and then, like, say it again in the other breath. Like, it's nonsense, right? It's just Mad King schizo shit.
Going towards World War III, especially in your own party, there's a section that's very vocal. There's another section that says you should take out this regime because it's evil and horrible and has done horrible things for decades. How do you square those two sides? And can this regime stay in place and still have a peaceful, reaction relationship with the U.S.?
Well, I think the president has squared those two sides quite well. One, because he's the leader of the movement, and a lot of people trust the president, as they should. They recognize they're not seeing the same intelligence. They're not seeing the same classified documents. They trust the president to do a good job. But importantly, Brett, I think he's threaded the needle quite well here. We had a very particular objective. It was profound and difficult to accomplish. The elimination of the Iranian nuclear program.
Man, it's like, it's just like what else are you supposed to engage with here? He's just saying nothing. Like, it's just like, yeah, the president's doing, like, a great, fantastic job. He's doing great, so good. It's just like, but he's barely doing anything. Like, and they've been in constant communication with your supposed, like, mortal enemies. Like, what the fuck is going? Like, what is this, dude? Like, unironically, what the fuck is this shit?
And I think the president successfully did that. You're asking, were the Iranians close to a nuclear weapon? Brett, they were very close to a nuclear weapon. And what I encourage my fellow Americans to think about here is that a week ago, the Iranians were quite close.
I mean, apparently the DNI doesn't agree with that point, but it's the line that Benjamin Netanyahu is going with. But so he's going to fucking repeat it because it's also the same thing that the president has been saying. So, because again, J.D. Vance doesn't really believe in anything. He's like just a stooge to power. Like, that's it. He's just a stooge. Doesn't have any fundamental underlying belief system or anything, so he's just gonna say like what the guy above him is saying, just to, defend those actions. Like, that's about it.
To achieving a nuclear weapon. Now they cannot build a nuclear weapon. That is the biggest testament to the president's leadership and to the success of our mission. In 1 week, without, thank God so far, not losing a single American casualty, we have taken what was a threatening nuclear program that could have destabilized the entire world. Now that program is gone. We did it through effective presidential leadership and also some very, very competent work from our troops.
How often does it happen where you're going to do an interview and you get a Truth Social seconds before? You have some sense of it, but it's pretty detailed, where you are being asked about something the president has just put out.
In this administration, Brett, it happens quite a bit, actually, but we knew this was
I wonder why.
The draft, it was interesting. I just read the draft about 2 minutes before we went on the air. It was a little bit different from what the president had showed me a couple of hours ago, but again, I knew that he was working the phones as I was on the way over here, so I knew exactly what we were going to do. And look, I love that about this presidency and this administration, is he's always working.
Yeah, dude, I like the inherent destabilization. I don't believe him. There's no fucking way he's constantly working. I don't believe that for even like 3 fucking... It's like the same fucking shit that like Democratic apparatchiks also said about like Joe fucking Biden. Like, no fucking shot, dude. Like, bro can like barely pay attention to his briefings and stuff unless there's like pretty pictures to like get his attention and mention his name as much as possible, right? Like, wasn't there like reporting saying like he doesn't pay attention to any of his intelligence briefs at all, and it like frustrates like Tulsi Gabbard so much because it's just like they have to make it such that it mentions his name like every like 3 lines or some shit. There's pictures, or like even like a Fox News host has to be the one to fucking deliver it, because again, his brain, similar to fucking Biden's, is completely and utterly fucking cooked, like totally fucking fried. So there's no way he's like working under any particular knowledge or anything. It's his team that's around him. He's like no different than Joe Biden in that respect.
He doesn't say, the vice president's going to do an interview, so I'm going to stop doing anything. He says, we're going to do the American people's business. The vice president knows what I'm trying to accomplish, and if I get it done, great, because we're going to talk about it and celebrate it, because it is a thing to celebrate. I can't emphasize this enough, Brett. We have destroyed the Iranian nuclear program. 0 Americans have died. That's an amazing, amazing thing. Americans, whether Democrats or Republicans, we should be celebrating that.
Mr. Vice President, we appreciate you coming and rolling with the punches as well. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Brett. Good to see you.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
All right, so again, as I've been saying before, nothing ever happens, bros are on top. Yeah, like, again, the ballistic missiles have struck in Israel, dude. Like, apparently there's been updates here. What's the updates? Yeah, so like I said before, now it's being reported by NBC. 3 dead, 1 missing after military strike in southern Israel. The IDF reported another round of missiles launched from Iran on Tuesday morning local time. So much for that ceasefire, huh? Iran was deliberate. Of course, we've read this already. So, again, like the Iranians said, it's like there's been no deal put forward. Like, I don't know what the U.S. is talking about. It's cope. Like, all of this is just kind of cope. Again, it's meant to just distract from other idiotic shit that more than likely Trump is doing in the back in order to just save face and just say, like, oh, you got a peace. We got peace, guys. We totally did it. So, because, again, he was starting to politically okay, the realist fucking take is, I think he just said this because he started to recognize that, hey, well, he's starting to face political consequences, right? Like, people, like, even what was mentioned in this interview itself, there's, like, people within the MAGA coalition that do not agree with this, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example. She does not agree with this war whatsoever, even though she like shit on AOC for trying to put in articles of impeachment or suggesting that there should be articles of impeachment. It's fucking stupid. Whatever. We live in a fucking idiotic, stupid fucking time. What can you fucking do? So there's that happened. There's like just like no evidence really to suggest any of like JD Vance's claims are like accurate or like correct in any way, shape, or form. What I'm saying here is that he's just trying to do like all this like random shit constantly in order to like throw red meat to his base to distract them from the fact that, well, he's doing something that's extremely politically unpopular. That is why he's doing the things that he's doing right now. And I don't think it's gonna work, because again, like, the supposed ceasefire hasn't even been in place for like 30 minutes and it's already been fucking broken. So I guess like there's gonna be more bombings from the United States. The war is going to escalate further, and it's just gonna be a fucking complete shit show. Exactly, Boy Meets Mini. Like, there was no incentive for the Iranians to sign on to the deal. Like, none at all. Why should they sign on to a deal that's offering, well, exactly nothing? So they're just like, fuck that. Like, you guys are giving us nothing, and you're expecting us to comply with what you guys want us to do? Like, it doesn't make any sense. That's not a deal. That's an ultimatum. That's what that means. So, I don't know. Like, maybe like Trump needs to like go into a dictionary and learn some definitions or something before he just says like, I don't know, really like stupid, idiotic shit in order to try to like distract his base from the fact that he's doing something that's like ridiculously unpopular. Don't think there's really much else to say besides that, to be honest.